welcome into Views from the Stands on a Tuesday. Happy New Year to you, my friends, and it is a great day to be alive, and it's a great day to talk some sports with you. We have a fun packed show for you today. Not all fun for some of these NFL coaches, man. We're going to be going over the coaching carousel as Black Monday struck hard. We got some breaking news that just happened about 2 hours ago that we're going to unload on that one. We also have a really fun dumb bad debate, and we cannot forget we got the college football playoffs. It's going down to the last four, and there is a very special team I'm sure Mr. G Mike is going to want to brag and boast about. So that was going to be very, very exciting. That's big time days over there for the old U. But without further ado, fellas, we also have a fun show tonight. We're going to have a special guest on here. It's a special guest collaboration. We're just waiting on him to join live. Before we get into all of that good stuff, boys, it is good to see you, fellas. Happy New Year. Mr. BC, how are you doing, my friend?
I am not doing well, man. The Black Beanie shows it is a day of mourning for my Bucks playoff chances, man. I am sad. And the T-shirt, not today. It is not a good day for me, but nonetheless, I am here, and I'm ready to talk sports with two of my besties live on so many different apps. Let's get it on, man.
Absolutely.
Before we go, let's hear what BC has to say on the fact of the ending of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers season, where it's supposed to be a great season, where a lot of people thought, BC included, that they would go to the Super Bowl. What happened, BC? Tell the fans.
Todd Bowles happened. That is what happened. No, you had a team going. Let me just set the stage. Before the bye week, we were 6-2. It was looking nice. Baker was going to be MVP, first in history. Emeka Egbuka was going to be Offensive Rookie of the Year, I believe, second in team history. And then Todd Bowles looking like Coach of the Year. I believe the first would ever be in team history. And then after the bye week happened, and it just 2-7. 3rd and 28. I could throw out more numbers, but y'all get the gist. I don't need to say any more. I am sad, and I don't get my playoff money, and I'm just sad. I'm sad.
Yeah, man. It was tough, man. And
Very tough.
They ended up beating the Panthers. So me and Steve were wrong there. BC was right.
Barely.
Then they needed the Saints. They were actually cheering on for the Saints, and I'm sure a lot of Tampa Bay fans would never cheer for the Saints. But this game they were, and then they folded. They had a chance with 2 minutes left to go up on the Falcons, and they folded. They choked. Yep. They ended up losing, and that ultimately led to what we saw on Baker Mayfield watching a football game from his crib, which you probably haven't seen in a while. Him stressed the hell out. His wife making fun of him.
I saw that on the couch.
And Tampa Bay sent out the door.
But let's be honest, though, it should have never went to that.
Before we get way too deep into this, man, let's allow our very special guest to join the crew. You guys ready for this one?
He was there.
Special guest Views from the Stand.
All right, welcome. In. How are you doing, my friend?
Doing great, brother. Doing great. How you guys?
Fantastic, man. I'm really glad I finally get you on to Views from the Stands, man. If I've watched you from afar from Peace on the Streets, which shout out to them because all of us have a connection with old Peace on the Streets here. So shout out to Mimi and all those crew over there. But CL, man, tell us a little about yourself, man. The people that don't maybe know you.
Hey, just a regular Orlando rapper, producer guy, but I got into the sports thing, obviously. Not just, obviously, more radio-wise, like you mentioned, Peace on the Streets, but been doing the podcast for a while on top of just keeping up with all sports for my entire life, whether it's soccer, tennis, doesn't matter. But a lot of heartbreak for me. You know, I have like 75 different teams, and none of them win. So it's just one of those situations where...
Whoa! It's different now, baby. It's different now.
Things have changed lately. So I don't know if you guys that yet. I doubt it. I know it's only been a couple minutes, but we're gonna get into that. I even got your boys on back here, the Miami Heat.
Yeah, doggy.
Boy.
Which is gonna be a tough game for us tonight, but that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, let's. We've already alluded to it. Let's go ahead and jump into it, man. We have the. Oops. Well, I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize I was up there. Sorry about that. Anyways, we are live and back and rolling. Anyways, we have that big game coming up here, man. The University of Miami's taking on Ole Miss. And if you had to pick these two teams going into the college football playoff, saying they'd be in this position, I would have bet you any kind of money that neither one of these teams are in here. But Miami, shout out to Miami last week, putting on one hell of a show, just taking it to Ohio State. I was shocked. I had no idea that was actually going to happen at all. I was on record on here saying I think that Ohio State is just going to shellac them. I don't think there's going to be much of a game at all. I kind of thought it'd be good in the first, and then it just kept on going, man. Miami looked extremely impressive. Mr. G. Mike, I will give you the floor for this one, my friend. That is your team. That is your you. Enjoy your moment, my man.
Dude, I'm glad that they proved me wrong because I had Ohio State winning that game, and just because of the fact that I thought they were more powerful on offense compared to us, right? But that pick six, that first touchdown, it was going back and forth in the beginning of the game. It was just 0-0, but then when we got that first touchdown, and then it just led to that momentum. That pick 6-2 that we got as well, that just put the stomping on them. And then Ohio State looked like they got punched so hard in the mouth that they didn't know what to do, and they were dazed for hours and hours and hours. And then, I don't know, they couldn't get back into the game, and it looked like the U just kept running off with it. But if it wasn't for that pick six, man, I really thought, and I actually texted Charles here, like, yo, if it wasn't for that pick six, man, I think this game would have gone down to the wire, and it would have been anybody's game.
BC, man, what's your thoughts on this one? Because I think we're all in the same boat. We were all kind of just saying that we thought Miami, it's a good story that they made it this far, but they're not the real deal, and they're not going to be able to hang with the big boys in Ohio State. Proved us wrong, man. Did you pick Ohio State in this one? I can't remember.
Yeah, no, I think this is the one game I think everybody was consensus Ohio State. Yeah. And it, again, like G. Mike alluded to, that pick six was so crucial. Defense, it can still prove to win championships here in college football. So that, and also too, I believe it was like 5 or 6 sacks the Canes had, if I'm not mistaken, on Ohio State. Like that, that's very key right there. So if you're able to get pressure on the quarterback, you're getting these long second, long third downs, and you're also forcing turnovers on top of that, it's going to lead to a short field. And Carson Beck, he had a solid game manager game. You know, it was like 130, 140 yards and a touchdown. Not elite by any stretch, but it was just enough with the short field that offense was given. And you're going to take those points any chance you can. If you can cash in on turnovers, you can cash in on short field position. And Miami did that. And Ohio State, they failed to live up to the hype. And on top of that, you get upset, probably the biggest upset in the playoffs history. So, but they've got no one to blame but themselves for that one.
Charles, I know you was watching intently in this game here, man. What's your thoughts on what you saw live, man?
Oh, no, definitely. I feel you guys. There was no reason to believe Miami should win the game. But at the end of the day, Miami's kind of jumping off on defense in a way that kind of screams. Like when you watch the NFL level, there's a lot of teams that stand out on defense that you see it and you just go, that's a team to mess with. But with Miami, they didn't get that same respect because that's kind of been a newer thing from them in the second half of the year. In terms of producing the sacks, we're leading this playoffs in sacks, obviously, like you just mentioned. Kept both teams to 17 points total between 2 games, 2 great teams. Yep. Like you mentioned, again, Carson Beck has just kind of been more of a game manager, and I think that's all you've really needed from him. But I think the perception was this team can't score enough points. He has games where he throws 3 interceptions. They turn the ball over. They get a little frantic. They lose the run game, and then suddenly, they're just out of it. But they've been so good on defense that it really doesn't matter what you get on offense. I still thought, hey, if you don't put up 20 points, you're probably not going to win either of these games. I thought 17 was kind of the line, we'd have to play perfect to win with 17 points. But even that has been blown out of the water. So going into the Ole Miss game, I know we'll head that direction in a second, but it's a nice surprise to see that Miami can consistently be so great on defense because we're flying no matter what happens. It used to be you get 2 or 3 drives that can kind of get halted for Miami, and then it's like, here we go, an interception, the game's kind of getting out of hand, blah, blah, blah. But now it's like, regardless of what's happening on offense, this defense is showing up, and you can win a championship, obviously, with that.
Yeah, I agree, man. The defense is definitely carrying this team without a doubt. And I think that the term game manager gets kind of thrown around a little bit too much. It's almost like it's a negative. That just also means you didn't make any crazy mistakes and didn't have to do anything bad. Like Carson Beck, they're not asking you to be Patrick Mahomes. They're not asking you to be anything that you're not. Just manage the game, don't make interceptions, and don't make bad boneheaded plays, and let that defense dominate like they did. And if they can continue to do that, Miami has a damn good chance against Ole Miss. got to give credit to Ole Miss though too. I thought that they were going to lose. Honestly, I thought they were going to be able to not be able to make it to this next round. And we were all talking about with the coaching and all the situation they had going on there. They ended up having out one of the most exciting games against Georgia and ended up winning out that game. So I'm really excited to see how this continues to go on. I mean, and it's kind of cool too because in the Final Four, you have pretty much all the major conferences being represented finally. You know, you got the ACC in Miami, you got Ole Miss in the SEC, you got the Big Ten in Oregon, and you got the Big Ten in Indiana as well. But it's nice to see maybe a fresh new faces in here. Miami, out of this group, is the only teams that's actually won a national championship. So that's a really cool factor, and this is exactly what was supposed to happen whenever they created this whole playoff system that gives teams opportunity to get in different spots. We're not seeing the same olds anymore. So, G-Mike, what's your scale of confidence in this Miami game, though?
Very high. I was actually praying that Ole Miss would beat Georgia just because Georgia, you know, their defense has always shown for themselves in the last few, 5, 6, 7 years. So I thought, like, if we would go up against Georgia, it would be a tough game, obviously. I could be wrong because of what will happen with Ohio State, right? But I feel like Georgia's defense was at the same level as Ohio State's. Like you mentioned, Carson Beck not doing any turnovers, playing safe, getting the balls to his right guys, giving to the playmakers, let them do the work. So he'll probably do the same thing against either Georgia or Ole Miss, whichever one that we're going to win the game. But I was just hoping Ole Miss will win the game because I think their weapons on offense aren't as great as Ohio State's. So if we played great against Ohio State and we got so many sacks, I think we could do the same thing to Ole Miss.
Yeah, Ole Miss can definitely score there too. So it's going to be a lot of the same situation, I feel like, with as it was with Ohio State. Ole Miss is a damn good offense as well, so you can't sleep on them. They're going to have to score. Obviously, Miami is for them to be able to hang in this game here. Yeah. BC, what about you, man? How do you feel about this one? Do you think Miami or Ole Miss? How do you feel in this?
Well, I mean, both schools definitely did go up against top-tier defenses this past weekend for sure. And one thing I thought just was really interesting with the Ohio State game is the fact that they have two of the top-rated linebacker prospects, and neither of them really had great games, anything memorable to speak of in that game. And also, too, Georgia also has one of the top-rated linebacker prospects. So a lot of good elite defensive players for both teams. But, you know, I think this is going to be one of the closer games. I think this will be an exciting one for sure. I don't know because Ole Miss has done a good job of taking care of the ball. Chambliss, I think, has only had this season, 3 interceptions. So he does a good job of not turning the ball over. So it's going to be interesting to see how Miami's sack-happy, turnover-happy led defense, how they do, if the turnover chain is going to be popping the whole game, or if Chambliss is going to be able to keep the ball out of their hands and maybe play a more secured, kind of grounded game. It's going to be interesting. But if we're going for predictions now, I think Miami does pull it away in a close one. I'm going to keep the Cinderella dream alive.
All right, Charles, man, what's in like an X factor you think going into this Miami Ole Miss game?
I think Mark Fletcher. Running the ball is going to have to be a huge piece of this. Again, I don't think being a game manager or anything like that is ever a bad thing. You can win a championship with it. You can win a Super Bowl with it. You can get a lot done. But I do think you're going to have all that electricity going on if you're going to be that kind of player in terms of guys like Bain and the sacks and the turnovers. And, you know, as multiple of you guys have mentioned, Chambliss has been good. He protects the ball. He moves well. He's kind of been the hot commodity lately. I know the other game is kind of the quarterback battle. But, you know, he's made a lot of noise so far and proven himself in this playoff. So he's capable of producing. But I think Miami, instead of trying to match that with Carson Beck, needs to match that with the run game and needs to still get to that 24-point total. Probably, I'm not saying it's going to be a shootout. I think Miami, if they're going to win, and I do think they will win, not to be biased, but I think the defense is just clicking on so many levels right now that even when they don't do well, they bounce back fast. I like just the way they're approaching everything on defense. I like everything. I like the pass rush. I like the corner play. I like the timely gambles. They're not looking too reckless, and it's just paying off. They just look so collected to the point where Chambliss is a guy, he hasn't thrown a lot of picks, as you mentioned, but he has played it safe a lot in the ways where he got a lot of yards after catch. They're one of the teams that does well with that in the country. So I think Miami can pressure him just enough, not necessarily to get turnovers, but enough to keep them in the game and keep it tight. But then I don't want to put all that pressure over Carson Beck. So I would like to see them establish Fletcher early, get that run game going, and then from there start utilizing, you know, obviously the weapons you have. You have a great receiver, young boy, and you have Beck himself who's capable. You know, he's not a scrub. He's capable, but he hasn't had to do it yet. I just don't like when he forces himself, because then that's when he starts getting, pick happy.
Yeah, whoever wins the turnover battle is going to win this game, I feel.
Yeah, without doubt too. I think I hate to do it, but I think we're all going to go Miami here too. I think I'm picking Miami too, and just for the simple fact of the defense. That defense was something I haven't seen in a long, long time, especially in college. That honestly looked like an NFL level defense right there. The way they were able to just read everything, and they took all the pressure off of Beck. And forgive me, was it? Is it Tony? Is that you're the young kid that's supposed to be in high school right now? That kid is ridiculous.
Now it's Tony. Freaking amazing,
man. Yeah, dude.
Just an absolute X factor in any kind of aspect of the game. That guy is going to make one hell of it, and he's so young, So like that kid only has room to grow. So yeah, I hate to do it just because usually it's bad luck when everybody on a show picks the same team, but how can you not go with the way Miami's playing right now? A little news on this game as well. I guess Charlie Weiss Jr. Is still going to be coaching. It's going to have basically a dual coaching system before they head off to LSU. So that's going to be one last little hurrah for them as well, trying to get this whole debacle that happened down with Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. So that's going to be an interesting aspect of this game. And one last thing I want to ask you guys, you Miami fans, before we end up out of this. Can we do something with Michael Irving? Can we just keep his ass all on the sideline or something? What the hell is he doing now? We
love it, baby. We love it. Keep him there. We need that energy, doggy.
Hey.
That guy is getting ridiculous.
But that's kind of the Miami culture, right? I mean, we haven't been that for so long because we haven't had any reason to have that level of energy. Anytime we start off well, we get to 5-0, and then we fold at 6. So this is an opportunity to finally have that kind of energy that people go, hey, the U is back. You got all the veterans there. You can look at, let's talk about the Gators, right? I think that's what you got going on in your background there. It's easy. Tebow, you already can list all the stuff.
Taking a belt off and making the show about him. I mean, come on.
No, I know.
A little bit much.
I get that. But at the same time, it's just like a lot of schools around the country can lean on if you say, hey, what are the blue blood basketball programs? Duke, Kentucky, whatever, right? What are the blue blood football programs? Miami's always considered this fringe program, and this is kind of the thing that helps us stand out in a way. I know it's stupid, I know it's annoying, but it hypes up the players, it gets the program going, it brings in recruits, it just highlights some of the great moments and reminds you, hey, we're not just a school that's in the playoff from a weak ACC. We're a team with legendary NFL players. A lot of recent.
Probably. Yeah. I was gonna say correct. No, I was gonna say it's the most all those championships y'all won in the '90s, early 2000s. Come on. How did people I get it, not everybody's from the school, but come on, there's history, there's tradition, there's something there with Miami football.
Yeah, we always get left out. We always get left out of that.
Yeah, so this is a stepchild of the state or something, which is very weird.
Yeah, and I know Florida State.
It's because we're convicts. We're convicts.
Hey, but you're convicts in race, so there you go.
Definitely doesn't scream convicts at all, right? I guess.
Huh?
Michael Irving's doing a fantastic job of not looking like a convict, taking his belt off and whipping something. Yeah, that's nothing about that screams anything like that.
He's only whipping the wall. He's only whipping the wall. Nothing else.
Hey, we all saw that Florida Gator documentary, didn't we?
What do you mean? I mean, Tebow was a fantastic person. That's all that happened, right?
For sure. Tebow is a fantastic person.
That's all that happened.
Who else was on that team?
The
rest of the team was the Hurricane.
And again, allegedly, allegedly.
You know what they say about the bad apple and the brunch? Bro, the Gators had a whole bunch of bad apples, and Tebow was that good apple. He was
the basket that held it together.
I love that. That's a great analogy.
It's still mind-blowing to think that Hernandez was Tebow's roommate. Just that whole era was just insane, and how Tebow there was never any dirt on Tebow at all because he's just that good of a dude.
Yeah.
Imagine those conversations between Tebow and Aaron Hernandez in a dorm room.
My God,
we need a podcast on that. We need to go back in time. We got a fucking podcast.
He's no, everyone. It's all forgiven. It's all forgiven, Aaron. If you just, if you pray it up. Yeah, but what if someone were to, it's a lot of what ifs.
You just need to repent. You just need to repent.
Bless your hearts. We're sitting there, man. A lot of bless your hearts. We're sitting there. Gosh.
All right, we got another game here in the college football playoff, and this one's going to be an exciting one as well. You got Indiana Hoosiers, the number 1 overall team, taking on their Big Ten rival, then the Oregon Ducks. Man, Indiana is looking pretty damn good, but you can't deny how good Oregon is looking as well, man. They slapped Texas Tech out there in that last game.
All of it.
See, Mike, buddy, what's your thoughts on how Indiana and Oregon, man? This is a powerhouse game right here, and if you, it's kind of wild. This is what I do like is that having Indiana and Oregon, it's different. You know that you not only don't have these guys as your last couple teams left.
Yeah, I mean the big story is going to be the QB versus QB battle, like Charles said, and obviously, you know, whoever wins is going to the national championship game. That should be the broad story, the big highlight of the game, right? But it's not going to be. It's going to be which QB is going to perform better, because it could ultimately decide if one goes the number 1 overall pick and the other goes the 2nd overall pick, which is kind of a different conversation, which I think the Raiders shouldn't go QB, but that's a whole different conversation. I think the QB versus QB battle is what's going to be looked at in this game, and both teams went up against some weak defenses last round. Indiana against Alabama, Oregon against Texas Tech. Texas Tech didn't even put up points on the board. Alabama looked like they weren't going to put up points on the board, and then they got it in garbage time. Indiana's offense, though, is looking more complete to me than Oregon's offense. So I think, just like with the other game, whoever wins the turnover battle in this game is going to win. I feel like if one quarterback makes one more mistake than the other, that team is ultimately going to take it and go to the national championship game.
Yep.
I love the confidence that Indiana's playing with as well, man. Like they went in number 1 overall seed, and they don't look like they don't belong there. Like they really do look like, hey, we are supposed to be here. They bought into Cinetti's system. It was basically 2 years ago. They went on this run, and everybody was kind of like, that was cute last year. Let's see you do it again. And they only got better than they did last year. So Indiana's making a hell of a run, and the confidence that they're playing with right now. BC, man, what's your thoughts on this one? This is an interesting matchup.
I think it has a chance to be a shootout, but I just like you guys have been alluding to, Indiana's just the complete team, like offense, defense, across the board. They're just better, and it's one of those things where unless they lay an egg like Ohio State did against Miami, which I don't see them doing, I think Mendoza does a really good job of protecting the ball as well, and I just don't see him giving Oregon many opportunities to kind of cash in on. I feel like Indiana's going to take this one pretty handily. So there's pretty much all I have to say about that.
Damn, Forrest.
And it was against my old team in Alabama.
Charles, man, what's your thoughts on this one, buddy?
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Other than the Dante Moore, there's some people out there thinking he should go ahead of Mendoza in the draft. I don't see that. I don't really think, like, the way we talk about Miami's defense, just looking like an NFL jumping off the screen kind of thing. Indiana's doing that on both sides of the ball right now. Like I said, they're playing with high confidence. They just look the part. They look like a team that hasn't felt like, I know they're number 1, like you said. That's cute. A couple of years ago, they were starting to build up. And even now, like, until, that they finally when they beat Ohio State, that was like the first time that they were kind of starting to get legitimate credit for being even a top 5 team. And now that was only a couple weeks ago. So it's not like you've had a lot of time to linger within that. I think they just look complete all year. They look complete right now. And Oregon, I'm not a huge Moore fan. I think, coming into the season, there was a little bit of talk there. I even talked about him and how he could kind of be watched because a lot of people like Kuiper, not that I'm big on him or anything like that, but, all these Herb Street, whoever, they were huge on him coming into the year quietly. I peeped them and things like that. But at the end of the day, I just don't think that team's as complete. I think that Oregon right now looks more like, that Miami level where they got a lot of things clicking on one end, the other end, not so bad. But Indiana's just so complete that this shouldn't really be a game. I can't see a world where I would love, Heisman versus secondary type Heisman, 45, 44 kind of thing. But again, I also think it's going to be kind of quick work. Indiana handles it.
Yeah.
Let's not forget, though, too, they've also already played this year as well. And Indiana won.
They beat them already.
Yeah.
In Oregon. In Oregon, yeah, exactly.
of all the teams that were getting a first round bye in the college football playoffs, Indiana is the only one to advance to the next round. So that's another thing as well. Like a lot of that time in between from playing games until now, like getting the rust kind of build up, they had no rust to speak of whatsoever. They just came out guns blazing. So it's like good luck. Good luck is all I have to say to everybody else in the field.
No, I agree. So you guys want to go ahead and land on the picks real quick then?
Yeah.
All right, G-Mike, start us off, man.
I'm going to go Indiana in a close one, man. I think that they win either by a field goal or it'll be a touchdown with a turnover that's going to turn into some points. I got Indiana taking it.
Like I was saying last week, I was born in Indiana, so I'm going with Indiana. I have no dog in the fight, so go Hoosiers.
I'm going to go with Indiana by 17.
Yeah, I have that same feel. I have that same feel. I think there'll be some like garbage point add-ons to ruin it. So I'm going to go by 10, like 27-17 kind of thing.
Man, that is interesting. You guys touched on it for a second. I want to spend a quick second on this one real quick because especially with everything, we'll be getting into the NFL here momentarily. But these two guys are one of the top two quarterbacks coming out of the out this year. Do you think it's better suited? And I've heard an interesting comment today about Moore possibly being either one or two. They were saying that if you're not guaranteed to be number one, stay another year because you're just going to go to another bad team. What's you guys' thoughts with that with the NIL situation? You think that more quarterbacks are more apt to stay in college now? And is it the better option for him now? If you're not going to go to a team that you can't, like you're going to end up at the Jets, you're not going to win for at least 2-3 years. They're just a bad team, you know? What are you guys' thoughts on that? Do you think that's one of the good points of NIL, or do you think that these guys just going to try to make their dream come true and be the next guy?
I mean, I think that with regards to like, I think it does kind of put a lot of power. It puts, some might argue it's too much power in players' hands as far as that goes. But at the same time, you know, I don't think any of us here, if we had to take our pick of do we want to go number one overall, which, yes, who wouldn't want to go number one overall no matter the team? Because you're the first overall pick. You get the most money, like biggest contract, cool. How many of us want to go like number 2 or 3 to a poverty franchise, like you said, like the Jets or like the Raiders, you know, like teams that just, they are awful. They are just cursed. There is no helping them at all. So I kind of do see that side a little bit where it's like, why would you want the first 3, 4, 5 years of your career stunted by such a garbage organization?
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I would just speak basically on personal experience, right?
Yeah.
Like if I would be in that situation, right? Like put myself in that shoes, I would want the security blanket. I would want the contract with the years on it, with the $1 million on it, playing at the pro level where I can get all the facilities, all the resources, all the knowledge that I can get from the guys that have been in the shoes, the guys that are there, and the guys that are coming up still even after me, right? I feel like if I stay in college for too long, knowing myself, I am a party guy, and I would probably like get mixed up in that stuff and just be all about that and just get the money, play, and not be worried about anything else, right? I don't know. Just speaking on my own, what my own experience would be, I would decide to go to the NFL, even if it's going to be for a crappy team. Whatever, it is what it is. I'm going to go and play. I'm going to try my heart out, and I'm going to learn what I can and use all the resources, man. I'd rather go to the next level than to stay longer in college and play 4 to 5 years now that some players are 5-year eligible.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think, Charles? What would you like to do, man, if you had that opportunity?
Yeah, I think you just go in. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're talking about going from number 2 to number 1 the following year, 1, there's no guarantee that your draft stock's going to rise or stay to that point. And 2, mathematically, your team should be worse if you're the number 1 pick instead of the number 2 pick, right? Because that's the worst of the 2 teams. Coupled with, you're talking about NIL money. This is primarily going to be quarterbacks. Obviously, we're talking the top 2 picks in general. And that debate jumping up because typically, if you're a number 2 pick right now and you're not a quarterback, your chance to jump to number 1 the following year is pretty small. It's pretty much QB or nothing at this point. So staying on that, you look at someone like Jaden Daniels, got drafted 2 years ago. His signing bonus, $25 million, right? So if this is a financial thing, you're going to make more at the 2 pick. Travis Henry last year. His thing was like $30 million, even more for a receiver, whatever you want to call him. And that's another $5 million from Jaden Daniels. So the money's going to be there. The opportunity to learn and grow is going to be there. And you're not really avoiding playing for a bad team regardless. I do get the Jets concept and maybe even the Raiders concept this year. But I think that situation more so lends itself to those kind of teams have been stuck in a cycle of immediately starting their young quarterback rather than building around them and letting a veteran play for a year. And they just need to get out of that and let someone like Mendoza getting drafted by the Raiders or more, whatever, who cares? Jets, those two situations. Those guys shouldn't start right out the gate. They should have a veteran there. You got Gino there. You got whoever, just let these guys sit on the bench, learn for a year, build up the rest of the team with the draft from the next year, and then put them in a situation to win if those starting quarterbacks fail. But I think that's kind of the premise there is they jump in, they fail immediately, they don't get a secondary contract. And now you're looking back and going, well, sheesh, I could have maybe stayed in college and set myself up for a better situation. But grass ain't always greener. Look at this year. If Mendoza were to stay, obviously he's great. So let's forget that. If Dante Moore were to stay and avoid the Raiders this year, next year he's going to be with the Jets. So, what are you really signing up for? And you're missing out on the solid bonus you're going to get right now from playing so well. Yeah, so
I was going to say, I do agree though, too, as far as like a lot of teams not like allowing themselves to be able to just build around a young quarterback. Like look at New England. Like prime example, they had a young quarterback, but they didn't just throw him to the wolves. Like they built around him, supported him with key veterans, key pieces on the offensive line and wide receiver, and now they're one of the top seeds. So it's one of those things where if you can, as an NFL team, kind of transition from, like you said, throwing them to the wolves and get into that mentality of yes, maybe we'll tank one more year, but it's worth it to build around a guy instead of getting him hurt right away.
I think it's a wild time in college and the pros right now. Because you can stay in college and make a damn good living still, and maybe wait your shot, maybe wait your turn, maybe get a little bit more experience. But then you never know how it's going to work out. I mean, we've already brought him up, Jaden Daniels. Who'd ever thought that he'd be taking them to the NFC Championship game? And it really wasn't his fault that they didn't go to the Super Bowl that year. He didn't have a bad game or anything, So it is possible if you get the right people around you, if you have the right mentality. So it is definitely an interesting concept. I just was wondering what you guys' thoughts were with that, especially because it's a big situation you have coming up with all the money going on. I mean, Carson Beck is making a crap load of money in college right now, and he's making more than some of these guys as a rookie, So it is interesting to see what the mindset is and how the game goes as far as draft stock goes, because you're completely right that just because you are supposed to be number one this year, if Arch Manning would have been available, you know what I mean? He would have consensus that he was the next generational pick, and now because he's got one more year, the year that he started out with, man, he lost a lot of money on that one, a lot of stock. He figured it out as the year went on. So you can hurt yourself by staying, but you can also help yourself by staying sometimes as well. It's just an interesting concept of how the NFL and especially how college is now.
Yep.
But speaking of that, we got some major news, and we'll go ahead and jump into our news of the day.
News from the world of sports.
All right, and if you don't know, then you've been under a rock. There's been some major coaching carousel changes in the NFL these last 2 days. And one, I think that's the biggest shocker that just kind of came out, and we'll go ahead and jump into them. John Harbaugh is out of the Baltimore Ravens. I believe it was 17 seasons, had a 61% winning record, and he is out of the Baltimore Ravens. G-Mike, I know you've been on the last couple of years, you've been a big proponent for the Ravens. This one's a shocker to me. Do you think he lost the locker room? Because now it's starting to come out that some people are saying he lost the locker room. How did this all play out, do you think?
I don't know, man. I feel like the Ravens front office, I feel like they needed a fresh start. So they wanted to get rid of him and bring in someone else or whoever they think that's going to be. But after 18 seasons, he's won one Super Bowl, and most of his career with the Baltimore Ravens, they've been contenders. They've been to the playoffs, and they've been contenders on trying to get, to the big game. But yeah, he might as well have lost the locker room. There has been rumors that he maybe has, and then off this season, he wasn't really using their top player in Derrick Henry, who's a top running back in the NFL. they're not really using him to his potential, and we don't really know why. Only the coaches and the players really know why. But to me, it's like you guys are taking a big risk on letting this guy go. He's had a great success rate, and he's brought a lot of joy and a lot of happiness to the Baltimore Ravens organization when it comes to winning. And I feel like you getting rid of him after 18 seasons for now to go and risk to see who else is out there that you can bring in to lead these guys and try to get them back on the winning platform. I don't really like it because just like Charles has mentioned, the grass is not greener on the other side all the time. And John Harbaugh shows that he can lead a team to win. I feel like, yeah, maybe he's getting a little bit older, but he's not that old and he's not senile or anything. I feel like keeping him there, showing that he could still win and trying to prove himself after there's sometimes that he's had bad seasons and he's come back and he's bounced back and he's led the Ravens to like a 13-3 team. So I don't know. I feel like it was a bad jump to the gun. I feel like they should have just kept him, and now we're gonna see who they go with because it's gonna be a big risk, in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree. I was shocked when this one came out, and it kind of all of a sudden, right after that game, reports started coming out that there was rumblings in the locker room that maybe this is going to happen. I cannot remember the last time that the Ravens have quote unquote sucked. I can't remember the last time in the last few years that they've been a bad team. This year they have dealt with a lot of injuries and a lot of adversity. And guess what? They were one kick away with a rookie kicker from going to winning the division after going 0-5. So I think that this was a like you were saying, a kind of a jump in the gun, and I'm not going to say blaming him because they didn't come out and say that. They've been really polite in what they've said about him, but I think that it was a bad move. I think that he's an adult, and he's an adult in the room, and that team, yes, they did have on paper one of the best rosters in the league, flat out, and it did come up short. But it also doesn't help that your MVP level quarterback goes out for multiple games. There was a lot of things that happened that was out of his control, and yet he still almost had them winning the division after being down 0-5, I believe, the start of the season. So from the rumors that I've heard and that came out, that he's already had 7 teams already reach out to him, and this news just broke today. Now, granted, I'm sure the writing was already on the wall with the owners and all these other guys prior to that point, but 7 teams already going after him. So I think that says enough about what the level of this guy is at, is that pretty much everybody's like, okay, hey, we'll pay for his plane ticket to get here now if we just to get him in the building. So,
and let's not forget the last few seasons. In 2023, Zay Flowers goes in for the touchdown, diving into the touchdown, fumbles the ball, end up costing the Ravens the game. Last year, Mark Andrews drops the ball. Obviously, there's things that go on in the whole game for sure, but we're talking about crucial moments in the game where they could have won. Zay Flowers fumbling, Mark Andrews dropping the 2-point conversion, and then this year the kicker missing the field goal to send them into the playoffs.
BC, you were saying that you were walking and you were just like in shock whenever it happened.
Well, yeah, it was. I did not expect to see that for sure. Like I know that Baltimore, they struggled a lot this year, but again, like G Mike said, there's not a lot of history of the Ravens being trash. Ever since the whole franchise has been here, they've had success after success. Yes, not as much as other franchise, but they're undefeated in the Super Bowl. They have 2 of the greatest teams of all time, and some of the greatest coaches that have coached the teams, and Brian Billick and Jim Harbaugh. So like this has been a successful franchise by many stretches of the imagination. So it came as a shock, but like as you guys were alluding to as well, if a coach is starting to lose the locker room, like we said, due to maybe not playing his players right, putting them in the correct position, not utilizing them properly, maybe that does speak to something to ownership that maybe, he's losing the locker room. Players just don't feel the same way about him now that they used to. Maybe a lot of those old messages that he was used to teach, used to coach to his players, maybe it just kind of rings hollow now, and maybe they are wanting to bring in somebody that has something different, has some more juice, or has a message that gets across to the players. And I'm not saying it's necessarily the right or wrong thing, but it's just as an ownership group, if you're seeing your players just kind of ignoring your coach and everything's just kind of there's a what's the word? There's a kind of a gap between the coaches and the players. You need to find something to be able to do it, and it's a lot easier to probably fire a coach and get a new coaching staff in than it is to get an entire new team.
Charles, man, I know this is probably a shock for everybody. What was your thoughts when you saw this news break?
So I wasn't surprised by it. I have heard a lot of things about him being gone, but I agree with what you were saying earlier, Stevie. Talking about kind of like a man's coach. He's an adult in the room of other men, leader of men. He's somebody who does have pretty good X and O coverage. He's not just like a raw coach where he just wills you to a team near your potential and falls short against real coaches. I do think he's worthy and he's capable. And like you said, grass ain't always greener. Well, who are you going to get to replace him? Everybody else is going to want him the second he's available. If we would have got rid of Zach Taylor and Cincy, I would have wanted him immediately. Trust me, I'm a big fan. However, also 17. Hey, yeah, exactly. 17 blown double-digit leads, most by any coach in my lifetime. Like 40-something blown for second half games in general. 20-something fourth quarter collapses in the past 10 years. Or in the past 10 years, 10 in the past 2 years. It's too many end-of-game poor decision-makings, coupled with there was a lot of rumors that and that's not even getting into what George was talking about with these like last-second dumb, ridiculous things that's happening, including the Bengals playoff game where they fumbled on the goal line and we returned it for a touchdown. But there's been a lot of rumblings that him and Lamar kind of had a disconnect, that the team and him have kind of been at a disconnect just because of, in terms of the front office, because of his decision to keep Todd Monken around at offensive coordinator, seeing how they do keep abandoning the run in the second half of games for, I have no clue what reason. They just did it again in this last game against Pittsburgh. But I know Derrick Henry's had some weird fumble issues this year. But even with that said, if Derrick Henry is one of the best backs in the league, one of the best backs in recent history, just keep running the freaking ball. And you don't have a quarterback, no offense, that is just slinging it all over the place. I know Lamar's been an MVP guy, and I've kind of, people say I'm like Lamar hater. I'm not a Lamar hater. I do think he is the best quarterback, probably of all times, of running quarterbacks. But at the end of the day, if he could not run the way he can run, we would be judging him the way we judge Herbert, the way we judge other guys like that don't get the job done come playoff time, and they just look like ducks out there. But that's another thing altogether. I think the biggest thing is just these fourth quarter collapses, the disconnect with the Todd Monken thing, choosing to hang on. Chang, he hung his hat on him for the past 2 years. They were trying to get rid of him. He said, I'm going to stick with him. And nothing's changed. They stopped running the ball. They keep blowing the games late. I love the injury argument. This year was not the right time for it. But the fact that they were even in this, they shouldn't have been in it. They had too many injuries and nothing good going on. So this was just the right timing to make it look like a good time to do it. But I don't really feel like this year validates that decision. I would have stuck with him, and I'm glad he's gone because as a Bengals fan, get this team out of my face. I'm dying for them to suck.
I would have said it in a personal, you're welcome to come on here anytime because I'm always Lamar hater on here, and I get eaten alive all the time because I'm always the one that's like, I don't get why everybody thinks he's that great and stuff. So you're welcome with me anytime, my friend. I need all the troops I can get.
Two-time MVP.
Yep. Never gets the job done in the playoffs. Yeah, that's okay. We're just gonna look past that. Don't worry, buddy.
But he makes
just
really
because he can run. Correct. Yeah, correct.
That hasn't been the case. That hasn't been the case the last 2 years, though.
He got bounced.
He got bounced, but it's a team game. He's still putting up numbers.
He threw that interception into the end zone where the camera panned out to try to see who he was trying to throw to. It was like 3 defenders in the end zone. I'm like, what are you doing, guy?
Yeah,
like I know
for sure, but he still came back in those games and he still put up numbers.
Yeah, playoffs a 4-quarter game, man. You can't dig your hole and then climb out of it and expect to get all the credit at the end. He failed.
You have players not catching the ball or fumbling the ball too.
The collection of failures, yes, but he has to take his part because if he had gone on to win any of those Super Bowls 20 years from now, we'll go, oh, that's Lamar Jackson, Super Bowl winning quarterback. We're not saying, Marshall Yanda, Super Bowl winning offensive guard, and like nobody cares. We talk about Joe Flacco and the Super Bowl that he did, and we talk about
the quarterback is the well-known position, which is why they get the most money because they're the face of the team. 100%, they got the ball on offense 100% of the time in their hand, unless they run a wildcat. They got, of course, but the thing is,
so you got to take the ball
11 on 11.
Yeah, I know, but if you're gonna get bonus claim, then you're gonna get bonus hate. Like you have to also be there for the hate.
Yep.
I just
Josh Allen's being jumped on for missing that one pass in the end zone as if nobody would trade their quarterback for him right now.
Yeah, I just feel like a lot of people need to realize that when it comes to team sports, it's not it's we. Just like basketball, just like baseball, just like freaking hockey. The only other sports are UFC, golf, tennis, those individual ones because they put the blame on themselves. But when it comes to team sports, you can't just blame it on one guy. There's a whole bunch of things that happen during a game that people make mistakes, and it just happens.
Yeah, but he's the only guy that never carries the burden of failing. He's always, yeah, but Mark Andrews dropped the pass one time at the end of the game. What about the rest of the game?
Yeah, no, in that game, he had a fumble and an interception in that game.
That's the argument that's been happening for the whole time as well. Is that I completely agree with you, but absolutely amazing athlete. You can't deny that. But
Exactly.
What has he done?
Yeah.
He's a two-time MVP. That's what he's done. Exactly. He's a two-time MVP.
You can have every MVP for the rest of my life.
When people say that he's not great as what other people think, it's like, okay, but why does he get a two-time MVP? Why does he do a lot of damage during the regular season? Yes, in the playoffs, I agree. He doesn't do a lot, for sure. Yeah. But during the regular season, he does a lot of damage. That's like saying James Harden is not a great player. He does a lot of damage during the regular season. He goes crazy. In the playoffs, it's a different story. He's not a winner.
I'm glad you used him as the example because the game changes in the playoffs. NBA slows down, goes more half court, and now you can really truly go, okay, we got this one guy. Here's how we're going to approach him for a 7-game series. In the NFL, the game doesn't be perceived as slowing down, but it really does. You see teams hold back plays, for matchups and we're like they even talked about it the other day. I think it's the I'm blanking on which team. Oh, Denver, saying, okay, well, hey, we know who we might be playing come second round. We're going to hold back what we could be doing in these last 2 games because we want to set up for what we can be doing in the playoffs. It's so keyed in, and I don't think Lamar has the X's and O's down enough to make adjustments on his own during a playoff game, and he hasn't been able to prove that. He just keeps coming up. He gets loose, he gets comfortable late, and then his interview, he says, I was nervous. And I'm okay with that. I'm not going to hate him for saying that. But it's like, you're not going to get the job done. I'm not going to give you your flowers.
Yeah. And that's, for me, that's the thing I agree with as well. It's one of those things where he's a great player. No one's denying the talent. No one's denying the skill. But when you have one of the best teams year in and year out, again, competition aside, we get it. Bills, Chiefs, elite teams too. No one's discrediting that. But if you want to take that next step, you have to actually start putting in wins in the postseason. You got to start making a Super Bowl appearance, at least getting to that final round. And that's, to me, that's the last thing that he needs to do. And that's kind of the problem with him. I'd say that's a problem with Josh Allen though too. Again, getting close, just can't get over the hump. And that's the problem. Being a great regular season quarterback, you got to be able to take it, and there's no excuses for it. This team is too talented not to be going to the Super Bowl, in my opinion.
So with the news of John Harbaugh getting fired, it goes to my point that it's not about just one player. It's about the whole team, coaches, trainers, players, front office, owner. It's the whole thing put together when it comes to a team game, which is why John Harbaugh's getting fired, because they think that he can't do it. He can't coach them to win. And Charles brought it up. 17 big-time blown losses. Freaking 20-something. I don't remember what the stat was, but the fourth quarter that they couldn't get it done. It's like, okay, so it's not all on Lamar. It's not all on Mark Andrews. It's not all on Zay Flowers. It's not all on John Harbaugh. It's all together.
Yeah, but the problem is that somebody's going to have to be the scapegoat for this year, and it just so happened the lots fell on John Harbaugh.
Which is what I'm saying that I don't agree with. That what I don't understand with people when they watch team sporting events, why does it have to be one person? Why can't it be a collective? Is what I'm saying.
It's just easier to get rid of the coach.
Exactly. Then it is.
No, facts.
Contractually, financially.
You give it to the star player. You give it to the star player. You give it to the head coach. Which is why they're the first ones either to get traded or get fired.
I think a big showing of that is just I'm bringing in the Bucks here, going from Liam Cohen as your OC to Josh Grizzard. Big case point. I know that there was injuries and crap like that, but top 5 offense, middle of the pack at best, probably more the bottom third. So
Jags, bottom third offense, one of the best suddenly.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing.
Overnight.
One man, it's one of those things where it's a team sport, but one man can really make a difference. It just depends what's going on in here, what's all in your mind.
Well, I think we can all agree now that John Harbaugh is out of Baltimore. The excuses for the Lamar thing is going to get even more. If Lamar can't do anything in the next 2 years, was it really Harbaugh, or it's going to be the same thing as my Belichick Brady? Who was better? Was he holding them back? And if you remember, Bash, but I found it kind of strange whenever I heard the reports that Charles was alluding to as well, that all of a sudden Harbaugh and him had disconnect. If you remember back, what was it, 2 years ago? All those clutch situations, you'd always see Harbaugh and Lamar talking to each other, and Harbaugh would be like, what do you want to do? Do you feel comfortable with this? Like, let's run what you feel comfortable with. And Lamar kept on constantly, I love him. He asked me what I really want to do. So I just found it so strange that all of a sudden, just out of the blue this year, everything is falling apart. I don't buy it. I feel like that they were looking like you were saying, maybe if they were just looking to change it up or something. And I think that he's kind of taking the fall for the whole team in general. He's kind of taking the fall for the whole team being injured and just Lamar not being there. And we'll see how it goes the next 2 years, because I think that's really going to be the biggest factor. If they get a new guy in there and Lamar still doesn't do anything, I think that's going to be a big problem.
I mean, winning does a good job of solving a lot of those problems, though, too. If you're winning, you don't really care if there maybe is some disconnect, quote unquote. You just kind of live with it because you're winning. But then once that gets taken away, it's like, all right, that don't fly anymore.
Yeah, but again, Gio just alluded to here, Harbaugh 12th all time and wins. He wasn't the problem. And what we alluded to earlier, Harbaugh is his success rate is 62% or whatever.
I think it's 61, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So most of his seasons he was winning. So one bad season, just okay. Now we're gonna let you go.
Yeah, this is all playoff days. It's playoff days because the regular season, like you mentioned, it was just a nice hot button opportunity to go. Hey, look right there. There's our opportunity to get rid of him because this team has not performed in the playoffs and they have too much talent.
His playoff winning percentage is over 60% as well, I believe. I think he's 61% in the playoffs as well. He's 199 and 100 or something along those lines. I can't remember exactly what it was, or 199 and 20 or something like that, or 120. So he has a winning percentage in the playoffs as well. So it's not like this guy is choked in the playoffs all the time or something too. So, but we can't spend the entire time on John Harbaugh because there was other guys that got fired in here. And this one was another. I found it to be kind of shocking. Was Kevin Stefanski of the Browns getting fired? And I think this is another guy who's immediately going to get hired. There's so many things that you can say about the Browns and what's going on with the Browns. And you can say that for years. I think that he was a good coach, and I think that this was a bad move for them as well. BC, man, you start us off this time, man. What's your thoughts with Kevin Stefanski? I think he's going to get picked up immediately.
I mean, it's just a pop. We talked about poverty franchises earlier with the Raiders and Jets. How could we forget the biggest one in Cleveland? So it's just, again, the whole team this year, aside from Myles Garrett's record-breaking season, the defense being elite again, as they are a lot of it. Again, one guy making a difference. It's not just him, but he's a big part of it. And Myles Garrett, soon to be back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year. That was pretty much the only bright spot. Shador had a few flashes here or there, but this team was not great. This franchise has never been great, and so I think that, again, it's just Cleveland. They're going to continue this. Yeah, they're going to continue the cycle of sadness that is going to continue to go there, and it's just. But that's what they're going to do, and I agree that I think Stefanski will go elsewhere. I think he'll succeed, but it's what this franchise does. They're impatient. They want something now. And it's going to take more than a few years to build it back up when you bring in a head coach. But Browns going to Browns.
It's wild too. I mean, we all love stats sometimes too. I mean, this guy's was a 2-time Coach of the Year within the last 4 years, I believe it was. So it's wild to me that they're shooing him out, but then they're keeping their GM though. And he's also, I believe, the one that brought in Deshaun Watson as well, if I remember right. I could be wrong on that one, but I'm almost positive he did. And they still don't have a quarterback situation. They still have a weak quarterback situation in which they also got rid of Joe Flacco when he was playing pretty decent. So the Browns are just a weird situation here, man. That's your division there. Charles, what's your thoughts on this one, man?
I mean, I'm fine with it. Not because of because I agree with you. He's fine for the club. His team's so impatient. And I don't get it because it's not a fan base like you look at the Giants, right? You know, another team that's kind of been in a weird thing, but they had their Super Bowls recently, so they're safe, right? But that's a fan base that is on you 24/7. You don't get any break as a Giants GM, as a Giants coach, or anything. You get no breaks. We don't care. In New York, that's just how it is. Cleveland, they don't care. Like they want to be good. Obviously, fans want to be good, but they're not pressuring every 5 seconds. Talk about the Browns. What are the Browns doing? Let's get the Browns better. Like they care more about Ohio State than they do the Cleveland Browns, right? So this team's just so impatient, and it's such a rush to fix things. Changing quarterbacks 800 times. You know, you see the guys with the jerseys that have every quarterback in the past 20 years and stuff like that. Like Stefanski, as you just mentioned, has been coach of the year, winner or candidate or top 3 for a lot of times in the past few years. Like he's been good enough to get this done. And this is with the team. Yeah, I know they've been more of a defensive team, but this is like with how many quarterbacks have they had even in the past 5 years? How many did they just draft a second ago? So it's just
a whole team off the amount of quarterbacks they've drafted since.
Yeah, like they don't get it. They don't get how to build a team. They don't know how to build around things. You know, and it's unfortunate because they see teams like the Bengals go from bad to great, right? But the Bengals had a very similar situation to Tampa Bay with bringing in Brady. Yeah, on the surface, this is a very losing team. They have nothing going on. They suck. They're terrible. But just simply cutting down the turnovers and bringing in a manageable vet shows you, well, wait a second. We have Mike Evans, and we have this guy, we have that guy, we have run game. We brought in Vita Vea. You know, like we're drafting internal guys. People were complaining about the Vita Vea pick, and now look how great he's been as a stopgap for the run game. And it's like, you know, like they built it the correct way so that one player could change the team. Same way with Joe Burrow. He came in, Chase, Higgins. You know, obviously Chase Brown's now Mixon at the time. You know, a little litany of tight ends and stuff like that. Some veteran defensive players. Went to the Super Bowl, and we're hanging our hat on just going to the Super Bowl and losing. Yeah, the offensive line has been bad, right? And we've drafted 8 offensive line picks in the past 3 years, so it's not as if we're not trying. And we got Orlando Brown, who's supposed to be a top 3 lineman as well. That didn't pan out as heavy, but still, attempts, right? You build around this team, and they just refuse to do it. And so I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that they have the right guy, and they're going to move on from him. And I'm glad because I don't need another threat in the division. Just go on and keep making mistakes. But I'll tell you right now, Mike, you could have had Stefanski, you could have had Harbaugh, and now Dallas is sitting there kind of in a in-between coaching situation. Yeah. Unless you like Scott Heimer, I don't know how you feel.
I mean, we're going to be talking about the coach that got fired in a little while, and so that I was finally grateful for. But with Stefanski, man, I agree with you guys. I don't think he was the problem. I think the problem there is that there are people around the world doing witchcraft on the QB position, on the QB room for the Cleveland Browns because they could never get a QB in there. Right now, it's looking like they're gonna go with Shador for week 1 next season. They're probably not gonna draft a QB, and they're probably gonna draft around. I would say maybe they would need a better receiving core. I think their defense is solid. I really think if they do draft defensive picks, it's just gonna be to get backups and on top of backups. Maybe try to improve the offensive line, but I don't even think the Cleveland Browns are that bad of a squad overall. I just think it's the QB situation that they can never get rid of that bad juju that is going on there. And I don't think it's going to be for a while, man. It's either they're getting bad juju on it or, like you guys have mentioned, the front office just doesn't know what they're doing when it comes to the quarterbacks.
Yeah, they've had 42 different quarterbacks since 1999 and 12 different coaches since 1999. That says enough about the team right there. I don't get, and then what I don't really get about this one too is that you actually had a good coach this time. So I'm surprised they kept the GM and they allowed them to pick the next head coach in here. I think that was a bad move for them. I think that for once you actually had somebody pretty good there. I mean, hell, if you could take Joe Flacco and turn him into what they did with the head coach being there, and correct me if I'm wrong, the Browns almost made the playoffs that year, did they not? They went on a run on that at the end of that, right?
Yeah, I want to say that was like
they were like a game away or something.
Like 10-7 or 11-6.
Yeah. So
like that.
I mean, like,
didn't they go to the playoffs with Baker?
Yeah, that was 2020. Yeah. So like
that wasn't good enough.
That wasn't good enough.
Yeah, they've been able to succeed with common players, but they just blow it. This is why they'll never get out of it until they not find something stable, but they stick with it. Like, stick with it for more than 3 seasons, and I promise you'll be fine. Not like other teams where it's like, okay, this is obvious. Like, this has been a long time coming. Why isn't this guy gone yet? Like, you can tell certain situations. You can tell what the problem is, and Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland was not the problem.
And you can even see it with this year. The games that the quarterbacks have had great games. Dylan Gabriel, I think when they went to London, he had a great game and they won in London against the Vikings, I think it was. Shedeur Sanders, when he threw for 4 TDs or maybe even 5, 300 plus yards, they won that game. The team overall is great. It's just the QBs. They're inconsistent or the QBs are not good. That's what it is. That's what they got to fix right there.
Yep. I hate playing them. Every time the Bengals play the Browns, all my friends are, oh, you got the Browns. That's an easy one. I'm like, no, it's definitely not an easy one.
No.
They beat us almost every single time. It drives me nuts because the rest of the team is so good. But, hey, count with me. Get them out of there. Let's start over and put another bad coach in there and keep them on the bottom.
Well, there are some other coaches as well. We have Raheem Morris out of Atlanta getting fired. We have Jonathan Gannon out of the Arizona Cardinals getting fired. Pete Carroll of the Las Vegas Raiders getting fired. It was a busy day for people getting fired in here. So we went over the ones, and we obviously already had Brian Daboll. So the New York Giants are available, and the Tennessee Titans as well. So to kind of put a wrap on these coaches. Oh, and actually, we wanted to bring it up as well because I know G-Mike wanted to talk about it a little bit. We have Eberflus Matt Eberflus got released by the Dallas Cowboys as well. G-Mike here, yeah, I was gonna say the worst defense in the league. Was that one a shocker for you?
No, it was not a shocker for me. And I was actually like thinking that it would have happened at the mid-season mark, honestly. I thought it was going to happen way earlier, but I guess that they wanted to see what he can do and what he can prove. I guess he had a great conversation. This guy's a great negotiator. Please be a salesman at the next freaking car dealership because I don't know how the hell he made it to the end of the season, my guy. 30 points is what teams were averaging on us, bro. Our run defense was crap. Our pass defense was even terrible. I honestly think that if our defense,
we would have made the playoffs.
If our defense would go up against a top college football offense, I think that offense will put up 21 points. I honestly, truly believe that because we're so garbage. And I'm
Indiana
so
versus
glad
Dallas. Let's book it.
Finally happened, and hopefully we could bring someone in here, man. And I've heard that the DC for the 49ers is looking for another job.
Robert Saleh,
baby.
Robert Saleh. Gosh, I would kill to have Robert Saleh in Tampa right now. My gosh.
Talking about Tampa right now, BC.
I'm talking about in terms of play calling because Todd Bowles can't call plays to save his life on defense. Soft zone coverage. Everyone's back like 30 yards. What the heck is this?
Actually, we quietly have the most embarrassing defenses.
You're on a cruise. I'm more on a raft.
Oh, gosh. Oh, then what the heck am I in? I don't get anything.
You're in the same raft with us, buddy.
We can all just agree. We all suck right now. Like
every single
one of our franchises sucks, and we need to change.
I think if Indianapolis had freaking Indiana Jones still, I think they would be in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, that was very heartbreaking to see that one. But I am glad we're talking about coaches still as well. Indiana is the Colts are going to bring back Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard, and I do think that is the right move to do. I don't think that it was Shane Steichen's fault that they kind of fell apart at the end. Daniel Jones goes down, and you don't even know how that would have played out because he went down so early in that Jacksonville game. Granted, Jacksonville has had their number against Indianapolis for years. I do not understand they cannot win in Jacksonville. I'm almost positive I was at the last time they won. They won in like 10 years ago. I'm pretty sure I was at the game. But so with the coaching staffs though, we mentioned before, Eberflus got fired. The Lions got rid of their OC as well. His name is drawing on me. John something or other. And also another interesting one. There was 2 firings for the Commanders. The Commanders got rid of their DC and their OC, Cliff Kingsbury, who is already to be rumored to be interviewing for some jobs possibly. Out of all of these positions, out of all of these teams here, like we mentioned, we got the Giants, you got the Titans, you got the Raiders, you got the help me out here, guys. The Raiders, you got
Titans, Browns.
Baltimore is still just a weird word for me to say out loud, really. But out of all of those ones, What do you think is the best one? What's the best position to have? I mean, I would think that the Baltimore is the obvious answer, just because of the roster. You have Lamar, but it's going to take a certain type of coordinator and a certain type of coach to deal with like a Lamar. So not everybody's as able to do what some of these guys are able to do with the mobile quarterbacks and the athletic quarterback. I think Kingsbury would be a pretty decent shot in there because he's already had Kyler Murray, and he's used to playing with Jaden Daniels, so now he has a bigger version of both of those guys. So that could be an interesting position for the Ravens to look at. But I just find it kind of weird because Kingsbury has already been on record saying he doesn't want to be a head coach anymore, but now he's back in the coaching carousel. He just want to be an offensive play caller and call it a day.
We'll take him. We'll take him. Happily.
I think Tampa will be nice for him, actually. I think Tampa will be
good.
Cool.
Yeah, because, I mean, again, like Rizard pretty much this year were just very – other than the game in Seattle, it's pretty much just been kind of bland, boring, pretty, like, repetitive play calling over and over again. With Cohen, very innovative, very situation, personnel-based. Rizard was just very by system-based. And it's like, no, you got to adapt around the players, not the other way around. That's not how it works.
All right, so
you guys like every two plays, screen pass.
Yeah, it's like, my gosh, can you do something else aside, or an inside run with Bucky Irving of all people? Like, yeah,
correct.
When I need 2 yards, run up the gut, 5'9", $190. That's what's gonna get the first down right there. Like, come on.
All right, G Mike, rapid fire real quick here for the end of the coaching here. Which team and which coach or which team do you think is the best fit, and where do you think the best fit is right now for the coaching?
For what? For the
which team? Which team do you think, if you take over, like that's the team you want to go to and then take over for?
Definitely Baltimore. I mean, you got the roster, you got a great running back. It's probably the top 5 right now. Quarterback top 5 right now, I'd say top 10 arguably, and I think the whole team. I think the only thing that they got to work on is that defense, because even though in the last few years they've been great, but this season it's like it's all fell apart. So maybe it was coaching, maybe it wasn't. It was locker room presence. Maybe a whole bunch of stuff was happening behind the scenes that we don't know about. May come out, but I think right now the head coaching spot for the Baltimore Ravens is the best fit for anybody.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it. Actually, I like the Falcons' job. I think that job is very good. I think their roster is very good. I think they did a pretty good job, even though they did get rid of their GM. I think they did a pretty good job with the draft picks they made. They made some wild moves to get some the defensive players, and they started coming on really strong at the end. You got Drake London, who seems like a great player. To figure out what they're going to do with Kyle Pitts. The quarterback situation is a mess, kind of, if you will, because you have one guy that's already injured, another one that's already injured. So that's going to be the only problem that they can figure that part out. I think the Falcons have a great on paper team. It seems like a great facility and a good team to work for. So I think the Falcons is one of the best jobs out there right now.
I will say best opening vacancy is going to be Baltimore, just because of what they have right now. And I will say the best fit for that, I'm gonna go based on one of the fired head coaches. Give me Kevin Stefanski to Baltimore. I think that'd be a fun combination there. You keep it in the division, and then I'll add one extra for the corner just because we mentioned it earlier. Give me Cliff Kingsbury in Tampa, please. Let's spice it up a little bit. Let's do it.
No one wants to go to the Dolphins, doggy.
Man, y'all suck.
Yeah, I don't know who that is, but that Geo dude thing is kind of fresh though. I'll give him some credit for that.
Yep.
But hey, I guess I'll go a different direction since everybody's kind of taking a combination. I'm gonna go the Giants with Clay Kubiak. I think that's a team that on paper you go, okay, this team's whack. We know they suck. They keep losing. Blah blah blah. Same crap, right? But I don't think they're that far away, rest of the roster wise, outside of the QB spot. Now, I'm not saying that what they currently have is bad, but we don't know yet, right? So I just think Dart is fine for now. I think if he can look fine for now for another year or two, that this team could be in a contention spot where overnight, you look in New England, they had no skill weapons whatsoever in New England a year ago. And now this team is just flipped the switch, Vrabel, doing great, all that, and they looked the part around Drake May, obviously, so it's easier said than done. But I do think that the Giants are really that one piece away from taking a huge leap, not just a regular leap like you would think. Obviously you get a new quarterback in there, but if they had a kind of a quarterback that can work for them, I think they'd make a huge jump. And I think having someone like Clint Kubiak for the next 3 to 5 years there would be the right fit to try to kind of get it there. Obviously, Stefanski would be the better fit, and there would be more expectations and stuff like that. But I think, I won't pick him just because you guys already picked him. So I like the long-term fit of Clint Kubiak there, first-time head coach with an opportunity to kind of build an offense around a team that needs some help and has enough there, I think, obviously, weapon-wise on offense and defense. With draft picks coming.
Yeah, it's definitely a very, very interesting situation with all the teams that are out there and everything. The thing that makes me nervous about with the Giants is that Malik Neighbors is still not right. He's still using a cane. I don't know how far along in rehab he is, but that doesn't sound very good that he's still at this point not really walking on his own, really. So like that's kind of scary. But no, I don't think I think you're right though. I think that the Giants have something going in the right direction with the right mindset, with the right coach. It could work. I mean, even though they did get rid of Brian Daboll, who was the guy that wanted to draft Jackson Dart, finally got it going, and then you keep the GM who got rid of Saquon, and then you get rid of the guy who wanted to get with your star quarterback you got going out. Total makes a lot of sense there.
Yeah.
Maybe should have checked his Madden ratings or something, Anyways, all right. Well, speaking of
in the draft.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think too some other names maybe to potentially watch too, just as far as like coaching hires go. Nate Scheelhaus from LA and Chris Shula. I think both of those guys have they've been able to contribute on both sides of the ball. Like we're seeing MVP level numbers out of Matt Stafford. I think Scheelhaus has done a good job as the passing game coordinator, and then that Rams defense has just been a whole group of dogs, especially since Aaron Donald retired. Like they've been able to rebuild back, and I think that they've got a great attacking defense under Shula. So those would be two guys to kind of watch for in free.
That's who I think Miami's going to try and go for
Scheelhaus.
Yeah. For the Rams DC, I think they're going to try to go give him that HC job.
Yeah, or even Vance Joseph too, if you have a defensive type of team.
Yeah, it's kind of wild too because of all the offense in the NFL. But this go around, it seems like all the defensive guys are starting to make a noise again. That they're getting up Vance Joseph, like you're saying. Raheem Morris is going to be out there. I think that Raheem Morris is just a good coordinator. I can't see him being another head coach again. He's a great person. If you ever listen to his interviews, just seems like one of the stand-up guys in the world. But I just don't think that some guys just don't have that head coaching factor in them. So I can see him landing a DC job and being perfectly fine at it. But it's kind of weird. It is kind of weird seeing all these defensive guys getting looks at again.
Yeah.
All right, well, sticking with the NFL, we're trying to get to that promised land of the Super Bowl, and the playoffs are set, and we have some brackets over here to look at. Woo, and this is going to be interesting, to say the least. Mike, what side you want to start with? You want to start with the AFC or the NFC, man?
We'll start off with AFC Steelers-Texans game, since it's right there up the left.
Steelers and Texans on Monday night, and this one's going to be wild. The Steelers are hosting the playoff game here, and Houston's coming in at the 5th seed. And, man, D'Amico Ryan did a hell of a job, man. The Texans looked like they were down and out, and they came back and figured their stuff in. Got it. They were working great. That defense is ridiculous. It's going to give Aaron Rodgers trouble all day long. Mike, what's your thoughts on this one, buddy?
One of the best defenses in the league with the Houston Texans against piss poor Pittsburgh offense, and their pass defense isn't really that great, man. The Texans have really been, since the second half of the season started, man, they really uplifted themselves. CJ Stroud started cutting into his own. I think they only lost 2 games in the second half of the season, if I'm not mistaken. So I really like the Texans taking this game, even though the Steelers are pretty good at home, pretty good at prime time, but I got the Texans on the road.
Steelers never lost on Monday night. They're 23-0, I believe it is. Somewhere in that area in there.
Trying to make history, baby.
Yep.
It's really tough to see. I could this one's going to be a tough game for me here. I think on paper the Texans are a flat out better team than them, but I just for something they don't really lose on Monday nights. I'm going to go with Steelers and then upset. I feel like because I think the Texans are a better team. They got the home field. Rodgers isn't ready to go home yet. If that defense is able to stop Rodgers, and then it's going to be over if they had to pass rush him. But I just feel like the Steelers are that annoying team that's going to be able to pull off an upset and break some of these brackets here. So give me the Steelers.
Oh, man. Disagree with you heavy on that one, Steve. Like, it don't matter if Aaron Rodgers does not want to go home. you got the Houston Texans all ganging up saying, how many times do we got to teach you this lesson, old man? And they're going to send him home. Sorry, got Texans pretty comfortably in this one. That whole 23-0 Monday Night Football thing, 23-1. The Texans are the one. 23-1.
Charles, what you think, man?
Yeah. I feel you on that too. Steelers have this magical way of winning games that they shouldn't win and stuff like that. They're very annoying. My least favorite team. And this is not a bias thing because of that. This Texans are a more complete team. They've been a great defensive team, top 2 defensive team all year long with Seattle, Denver, whoever you want to throw in there. And on top of the fact that the offense is clicking, they're finally looking healthy. They're looking good. Stroud's on a good stride. The 9-game winning streak coming in. Steelers back in their way coming in. Aaron Rodgers usually folds in the playoffs. Everything screams Texans. As long as this game does not come down to stupid field goals, because there's a huge field goal advantage for the Steelers at home. Always will be. I'm going to stay away from that, though. I don't think that'll be the case. I think Texans comfortably win the game and just get them out of there, please, because that's the only team I can't have win this thing.
Yeah,
I am lone wolfing it and taking the Steelers in this one. I will admit, though, Houston is a better team. I just think that Pittsburgh just finds the way to be extremely annoying in the playoffs and beat somebody they shouldn't beat. So that's the reason I'm going with it. But I do think the Texans are a better team. Moving on to the next game, we got over here. We got the Buffalo Bills taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. This should be Josh Allen's year to be able to make it all the way because you have no Lamar, you have no Burrow, you have no Patrick Mahomes. This should be the year to do it. They're coming up in a buzzsaw of a team right now, though. Jacksonville, as much as I hate to admit it as a Colts fan, is looking pretty damn good. Trevor Lawrence is playing the best at it in his entire career. It could be Liam Cohen, or could maybe he just starting to figure it out. Maybe it takes some time for people to get used to the game. Maybe it's slowing down for him. But Trevor Lawrence is on a heater right now and looking great. Having said that, I'm still going to take the Buffalo Bills. I think this is Josh Allen's time to finally to finally get over that hump without those other guys in there. BC, I can already see you're disagreeing with me, man. What do you got?
Oh, man. Liam Cohen is going to be the stuff of Josh Allen's nightmares. He's going to hear him the night before. Duval whispers in here, man. The corniest thing of the offseason. I hated it, but my gosh, he just showing us why we made the wrong decision in Tampa. That, like you said, they're a buzzsaw of a team on offense, on defense. They do a great job both sides of the ball. Trevor Lawrence has never looked better. It's going to be at home in Jacksonville for them, so I feel like any advantage Buffalo may have had because it's negated by going on the road into warm weather. I got to take Jacksonville this one. I think, no Burrow, no Allen, no Mahomes. No Burrow, no Jackson, no Mahomes. Well, guess what? In the next round, we're going to no Allen either. So I think this next round, it's going to be a free-for-all, and it starts with Jacksonville in a close one, getting the win over Buffalo.
All right, Charles, what you got, buddy?
Hey, I'm going to roll with Buffalo. It is their time, and not just because of that. They are not the better team. They are not the better defense or anything like that. In fact, Buffalo struggles to defend the run. I think Jacksonville is going to expose that. But overall, I just think anytime you have, how they say all the time, you get 6 on average new playoff teams each year in the great parity-driven NFL, right? On average, half those inexperienced teams get bounced in the first round, right? So somewhere in this grid here, you have a few new teams, the Panthers, the Bears, and you have obviously New England and Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville, amongst those teams, has the biggest opportunity to fold because Trevor Lawrence does have had a lot of moments where he just kind of is out there and he's doing it and he's turns into a couple of interceptions. Then he kind of gets in his own head, and he hasn't shown that a lot this year, especially on this little streak they got going on. I think they've the last 8 games they've won against the spread, so they have been hot. But I think if ever a time, Josh Allen. I like Josh Allen. I love Josh Allen, I should say. Other than Burrow, I think he's the best quarterback in the league right now. But that's neither here nor there. But either way, I do take Buffalo to win the game. I just think the experience has to get them there. I'm not saying it'll force them right to this Super Bowl. But here, I think Jacksonville's 1 year away.
Oh, man. It should be Josh Allen's time. His kryptonite is not there. The Kansas City Chiefs are out. Patrick Mahomes suffering at home with that knee injury. He's happy as hell. He gets to go against the Jacksonville Jaguars. He doesn't have to see Lamar. He doesn't have to see Mahomes. He doesn't have to see Burrow. But it don't matter because they're not going to get it done because that defense is just atrocious. compared to the Jackson Jaguars offense. That offense is probably going to put up 3 touchdowns and a field goal. They're probably going to win this game by 7 points or 10 points. And Josh Allen's going to do his thing. It's not like he's not going to do his thing, but that defense is not going to help him out, and they're not going to be able to win the game. And after they lose this game, I better hear the same talk that y'all have about Lamar Jackson to Josh Allen.
Oh, we will.
I better hear that same talk.
We will.
Josh Allen's just better though, so it doesn't matter. We can. It's already.
Oh my god!
Easily.
2
MVPs
to 1. I'll just say that.
All right, let's move over. Let's keep on moving down here in this AFC here, man. We got an interesting game here. 2 teams that some people didn't really think was going to be in there, man. You got the Los Angeles Chargers and the New England Patriots. This is like a throwback to Brady and Rivers days, you know? Man, you gotta love what the Patriots have been able to do that quickly. Getting good head coaching in there. Mike Vrabel is doing a hell of a job, has the team believing. But then you got the other Harbaugh out there, man, and I love watching Justin Herbert play. I like their offense. I like the Chargers a lot. I don't know how to really go in this one because it could go in so many different directions. But I think that this is where the Patriots kind of come back to where they probably should have been in the beginning of the season. I'm going to take the Chargers in this one. G Mike, what you got?
I got the Patriots. I like what they're doing. I know that they only won 1 game over a team that's actually meant something to their division, their conference, above 500 record team. But I just like the pieces that they got together, man. And the Chargers defense, the second half of the season really wasn't doing it for me, man. I think that because they started off so hot early in the season is why they got into the playoffs. If they would have been playing the same way that they've been playing the second half of the season in the first half of the season, they wouldn't even be close to near even getting into the playoffs. So I think the Chargers defense is going to be their downfall, while Drake May is going to dissect that defense from the passing to, and even Mike Vrabel's calling the rush offense. I think their running backs are going to be doing work. I think each running back, they could probably have over 40 yards, maybe a few catches and a touchdown each, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Drake May, though, for real. Drake May is having one hell of a season, and it seemed like when the lights clicked on for that kid just instantly got it. So shout out to Drake May for one of the best seasons, if not in the best seasons for the Patriots, and you got Brady in that picture, you know. So that's shout out to him, man. He had a hell of a year. What you guys got next?
I got to go with New England on this one. They're just a better overall team, more complete, and I would say even when it comes to coaching, like I think Mike Vrabel has done an amazing job coaching them this year. And again, we did not expect them to be this good, and we thought they were gone, and now they're back. So, we'll see. We'll see if they're able to make it past after this round. But as far as the wild card round is concerned, I got New England winning this one. I would not say more than some of these other games coming up, but I think they do have at least a comfortable 2-score win over the Chargers.
Yeah, I think there's a huge opportunity for Herbert to finally show out and kind of put himself back into a conversation people fraudulently kind of put him in. I love Herbert. I liked him in college. I loved May in college. I actually thought he was going to be the consensus #1 pick in the beginning of that year, and it turned out that way. But he's starting to show it now and kind of make up for it, so I get a little praise there. But aside from that, I think New England's just more complete. Like G. Mike said, the defense, over the course of the year for the Chargers has kind of been up and down. But the one thing that does scare me a little bit is they do defend the deep ball very well. They're like top 3 in passes that are over 20 plus yards in the air, which is, kind of a very niche stat. But if you watch a lot of these Patriot games, that's how they start to separate from opponents. They build little early things, running the ball, Stevenson, whoever, short passes, and then they beat you deep out of nowhere, and suddenly the game's getting out of hand. But I do think the home field advantage thing will matter. I'm not shocked that the Chargers made it. I actually had them as the 7th seed going into the regular season. I thought they would make the 7th seed here right now. I like what they're doing there. I just don't think they look as professionally organized right now in this moment as New England does, and that home field advantage will make the difference.
It's gonna be one hell of a AFC, man. So let's go ahead and jump over to the NFC. We got the Rams and the Panthers. Surprisingly, the Panthers beat the Rams last time these guys played. Do you want to see that happening again? I do not. I think the Rams are going to get back to form and dominate this game. It is a good story. I'm sorry for you, BC, being in their division, but it is interesting to see that the Panthers are where they are right now. We were having bold predictions a while ago, and I was going to say that I did pick that the Panthers might make the playoffs this year, so I just want to be able to say that one out loud. But anyways, having said that, having said that, I'm going to take the Rams in this one. I think they're going to win it pretty handily. Mike, where you at?
Facts, dude. I think the Rams are my team to come out of the NFC, honestly, to go to the Super Bowl. I like what the Seattle Seahawks are doing for sure, but I think the Rams have a more complete team. In my opinion, they have an MVP quarterback. I think he should be the MVP this year. Carolina's defense is decent and close to being great, but that Rams offense, man, is just too stifling. They're going to have Devontae Adams back, Puka. They have Kyron Williams, MVP Stafford. I mean, dude, I don't think the Panthers are going to be able to put up 2 touchdowns on this Rams defense. So I think the Rams will probably win by at least 14 points.
Mr. NFC South, what do you got?
This is going to be probably the biggest blowout of Wild Card Weekend, I think, and it's going to go in the Rams' favor. Everything G-Mike just said. This is not because I'm upset about Carolina.
Sure.
Yeah. I think of the two. That's seawater. I think of the two Bowles. I think of Bowles' 2 offensive coordinator, former OCs. I think this is the one where. I think Panthers kind of come back to reality a little bit. I think that the one win that they got in the regular season was a nice little blip on the radar, cool. But I think, like y'all said, this is LA's chance to kind of tune up, get into form, and really make a big, deep playoff run for sure. I got 3 scores. I am salty. I'll say 3.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Bryce Young just ain't going to get it done. This is a team that looks very good. They're one piece away in a very big way. But they're very far from that. I know they haven't been committed to Bryce Young on this option. They're not choosing to pay him early. Obviously, it's a team that's not dedicated to him long term. I just don't think he's ready regular season form. I don't even think he's anywhere close to ready to take on the Panthers in this game. I know he's had some bright spots, primarily the game they just played him. This is going to be a touchdown kind of game. You can't chip away with a couple field goals and hang in there and no offense, beat the Bucs and stuff like that. Like, you're going to have to put up 25-plus points, and they're not nowhere near capable or ready to do something like that unless they get a series of pick six, a couple kick returns that go to past the 50 and stuff. It's going to take the miracles and miracles, and I think they wasted that already beating them earlier this year. So Rams by at least 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think it's pretty. That one just seems like the one makes the most sense out of all these games. All right, so next game we have the San Francisco 49ers taking on the defending champ Philadelphia Eagles.
Whoa.
I think the Eagles are going to get into the playoff form, and I think they're going to dominate this game, to be honest with you. I think that the writing is on the wall for the San Francisco 49ers. They cannot stop the run, and unfortunately for them, the last couple of weeks, they've played a lot of run-heavy, dominant teams. And you're going to I think you're going to see a lot of Saquon. I think you're going to see a lot of Jalen Hurts, and you might even see some Tank Bigsby in there as well because they're just going to keep on running the ball. And I don't think San Francisco can hang with them whenever they're starting doing that, and that defense is a little bit stout too. We'll see if Purdy is back up and running. I'm pretty sure that he just had a stinger, so he should be okay for the playoffs. But I'm going to take Philadelphia. I think they're going to handle it to him pretty good. BC, man, you're up first.
I'm going to buck the trend. I think somehow San Francisco actually finds a way to get the upset against Philly. I know that we talk about playoff form and stuff like that, but honestly, it's just, I don't know. I just haven't been as impressed with Philadelphia this year as I have been the last few years. I know that, again, they've struggled against the run this year. I feel like just it's feeling in my gut. I think that somehow San Francisco is going to be able to put together a game where they're able to do just enough, keep it close, and I think they'll be able to pull away by a field goal, but I will take San Francisco with the upset here, just on a whim.
Who you got, Charles?
Yeah, I'm rolling with San Fran, too. I like the defensive thing. I do think, the Brock Purdy and that team just has not looked super good. I know it's just one game, Seattle, good matchup, stuff like that. But, I don't think they've looked offensively amazing, and I do think the Eagles can figure that out. But at the same time, I'm not super sold on Saquon just taking over this game, despite the defensive run issues. I don't think. Yeah, and we mentioned earlier, being a game manager is not a bad thing. It's perceived as a bad thing because it takes you out of the elite conversation. But Jalen Hurts just won you a Super Bowl being a game manager, and I think Brock Purdy can be just good enough to beat this team, and I think San Fran can figure it out as well.
Interesting. G-Mike, what you got, buddy?
I would like to say the Niners, man. I really would like to say the Niners, but they got so many injuries on defense, man. Is a lot of question marks all across the board, from the secondary to the defensive line to the linebackers, especially the linebackers. When you lose Fred Warner, that's like the heart and soul of that defense. Like going into playoff mode where a lot of things change, become more focused. The game does slow down. Like you need your star defensive captain out there on the field, and he's not going to be there. He's going to be available. He's injured to be out of the game. So I think Philly, they've been in these moments. They know how to win in these moments. They're going to take advantage of what the Niners defense is looking like right now. I think Philadelphia's defense is one of the best in the league. I would say maybe top 5. I would say top 10 for sure. But just with the Niners having so many injuries, man, it's tough for me to see that they can stop Philly from outscoring them.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
By the way, not to interrupt you, but just so you have it, Brock Purdy was a shoulder stinger, but they said he could have even returned in that game. They just decided to hold him.
Yeah, I know they were saying that he was probably going to be fine for it, but that was a major issue going for San Francisco, that Purdy was slightly injured. All right, and so the last game of the first round of the playoffs, we have one of the best rivalries in all of NFL. You got the Green Bay Packers and you got the Chicago Bears. This one is going to be a very interesting game. I think that the Chicago Bears are riding pretty hot right now. I think that they're going to be able to run the ball on Green Bay, and Green Bay has not been able to stop the run very well. I think that Chicago is able to run the ball well, and if they continue to do that, I think they're going to be able to get past the Green Bay Packers in this one. G-Mike, who you got, buddy?
This one, man, is going to be tight for me, bro, because I think Chicago has the better offense when it comes to passing the ball, when it comes to maybe not running the ball, because Josh Jacobs is that dude, and he can make plays and he can score for sure. But if it all relies on him and they're not able to get a pass game, it's hard for him to actually do work, right? So if all the attention's on him, it's going to be tough for them to actually score when it comes to the Green Bay offense. Their run defense is atrocious, is bad. I think Chicago's defense is better, but the inexperienced play here for Chicago is what really questions it for me. I don't know if they can get past the first round against a divisional opponent who's been there, almost went to the Super Bowl a few years ago. Like Jordan Love has been in that situation. Yes, he's not an amazing quarterback, but he can get it done. He's I would say a top tier game manager. It's tough for me to really pick here, bro, but I'm going to go with the experience, and I'm going to say Green Bay.
All right, BC, man, what are you thinking?
This one definitely should have been the Monday Night Football game. I think we all probably can agree on that one. How do you not have the greatest rivalry in pro football in the playoffs on Monday night? Just come on, like ESPN, NFL, like work on, check yourself. But I think I'm going to disagree with you, Mike, on this one. I feel like I've been kind of bucking a little bit of the trend of, experience matters in the postseason with some of my picks. But I don't know. I love the way Chicago's defense plays. Like they dominate the turnover game for sure. Like they lead by leaps and bounds, I think, in turnover differential per game. So like they do a great job of getting the ball. And yes, Jordan Love doesn't turn the ball over a whole lot. But I think that because of the fact that they're playing at home and, I think that they do have this new excitement, it seems like a new era of Bears football. I think that just combined with how they just are able to take the ball away on defense, I think it's just going to be too much. And I see them winning by anywhere between a field goal and a touchdown. But they'll get the job done, Chicago.
All right, Charles, take us home, man.
Yeah, this is – I tend to like new teams in the playoffs, so this Bills, Jags thing. Like, this is more exciting to me than typically these old-school rivalry games. But, man, this is just on the money. This is such a good timing for this game. I agree. This should have been the Monday Night Football Extremes Bears also. Either way, that's just a whole other thing. But Jordan Love let me down this year. I'm going to have to say I thought this would have been the year he kind of took a step up. I actually had them winning the division. Bears kind of came out of nowhere with that a little early. I know they've kind of been building this team over the past few years, rightfully so, and doing it well. I think even though both teams are kind of backing their way in, Packers have lost like 4 in a row, and Bears lost a couple. I think even in the L's, the Bears have looked better. I think this team is really jumping and collecting themselves in the last month here, where whether they win or lose, they're starting to put up points. They're starting to play. I mean, they've already been playing great on defense. Like you said, the turnover differential. There's a lot to like about them. Whereas I think Green Bay kind of has that Philly feel where they're just taping it up. They're just trying to hang on, and they made it in. Let's see what we can do when we get there. Kind of like Pittsburgh as well. I don't think they hang in too late there, so I'm gonna stick with the Bears. I just want a great game, but I will go Chicago.
Yeah, I think so too. That's why I'm going to pick him there, man. But either way, we are all extremely excited that the playoffs are here. We're going to bring it. We're going to bring it up today, but we totally forgot. And maybe not on Friday. A little bit of housekeeping for the show. We are going to try and be consistent as we can with Tuesdays and Fridays. We were doing Saturdays for a little while, but we're going to try and make it on Friday nights, maybe at 7:00, somewhere in there. So while you're getting ready to go out, listen to your boys, man. Have a good time with us, and you can always listen to it later on as well. So a little housekeeping on that one. We're going to try to be doing that one. I want to give a shout out real quick to Varsity Sports for keeping with us and helping us out. And one other major one I want to give a shout out to as well, because they came through for us big today, is Podmatch. Podmatch has been fantastic for us. I want to give them a special shout out because we actually got paid today. So we really appreciate that. It's something really cool. It's a big movement for us. We finally got some recognition for what we're trying to do as well. And one more thing we have coming on our end as well, if you can finally get a chance to see it, we have our own apparel coming out soon. So we're going to be looking like that's going to be kind of cool, big venture for us. So we hope that this looks pretty good. The guys should have their shirts, I believe, by Friday. I got them sent out today. So we'll be having a lot of new looks for everybody. And if anybody wants any of them, we'll have them on sale coming up, or just be able to pass them out. We're trying to figure all that stuff out. So we have a lot of stuff coming for the new year of 2026 for Houston Stands. Mr. G, Mike, you got anything you want to let the people know before we take off?
Yeah, Charles, thank you for coming on, my guy.
Yes.
We appreciate it, bro. Thank you for coming on. Guys, if you're into sports gambling, I run a Telegram channel where we offer sports gambling slips daily to get you winnings from $25 to $50 to $100 a day. It's only $10 a month, and we have an affiliate program where you can get more money on the side for just referrals. You'll see the link pop up on the chat if you're watching the live episode, or if not, if you're watching the recorded episode, it'll pop up on the screen, as well as my social media accounts where you can slide in my DM, start a conversation to how to get you on and pop it, baby.
Absolutely. Mr. BC, what you got, buddy?
Follow me on my social medias at BC the Brand. That's where I do a lot of my announcing, camera work, voiceover work, kind of putting it all out there, just kind of giving you guys a glimpse into what it's like working for live sports production from multiple different positions, and also trying to get into the voiceover game as well. You can kind of see the journey, just kind of seeing from where it started to where it's at now. The website, bcthebrand.com. I've got a few blogs there as well, just kind of writing about what some of these adventures have been like. If you or anybody that you know is trying to get voiceover work, announcing, camera, you name it, there's contact info there. You can also reach out to me on the social medias at bcthebrand_media. And again, it's just where you can kind of see the journey. And if you like the story, you want to bring me in, I'm willing to do anything and everything. So, BC the Brand, man. Let's make it happen.
All right, man. Mr. Charles as a great guest today, man. We really appreciate
Sir.
it. So, Charles, you got anything you want to promote for yourself to let people know how to get a hold of you and what you have going on?
Hey, well, one, appreciate you guys having me on. I love this core group that you guys have here. I've been on a ton of podcasts with, not to knock anybody, I love them all, but a lot of times when you get into these big sports podcasts, there's usually like a standout person who's slowing it down or not doing well or doesn't. You guys have your roles so defined. You know what you bring. You have good energy. Everything about it is positive. And it's just, you guys have a really good thing going. So I'm glad to see that you're into the merch and that you're pushing, you get paid. Huge accomplishment. Don't overlook that, because so many people quit before they even get anywhere close to where you're at. And now you're at the fringe of really hitting that next level. So love to see that. At Real Steel Kid, pretty much everywhere. That's my website. It's my socials. It's all my platforms, music, sports, whatever. Glad to be on. Super side note, I was watching the Cuse game here, Syracuse basketball fan. Who won? But side note, UCF basketball, ranked number 25, the alumni here.
Wow, you saw that, right?
Yeah. Hey,
They
so they're
beat
losing.
Kansas, right?
Yeah, they beat Kansas the second time in 2 years. They beat them again. They got Arizona coming up, number 1 Arizona. That's next week. But I'll probably go to that. It's a home game. G-Mike if you're up. But they're losing right now, 58-67. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, they are. Dang. They're losing 58-67 to Oklahoma State. For a second there, I was like, wait, maybe I read it wrong. But no, yeah, they are losing right now. But that's okay. Just want to give them a little shine since I am a little alumni. Give them whatever I can. Thank you guys, of course.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I went to UCF for a little while. It turns out you can't finish. So that was always that was always fun. Anyways, guys, we really appreciate Charles coming on. Check out his site. Please check out ours. And we're all about to share it and giving everybody a shout out there. So thank you very much for tuning in. This one went a little bit long, but it was a lot of good conversation in here. So appreciate everybody on here. We are out, man. Peace.